dramatic head turn. Right, so what I'm going to do in this spoiler-filled review is I'm going to go through my 10 negatives that have built up and caused my 3.5-star review, and I'm going to explain it in much more depth. This is going to be heavily spoiler-focused, so if you can't be dealing with that, go and check out my spoiler-free review. Again, I would like to repeat, this is heavily spoiler-focused. Negative number 1 is, as I just showed at the beginning of this video, my god, how many dramatic head turns were there? It just became over the top, over and over and over and over again. This was just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So many dramatic head turns, it was like swipes in the original Star Wars films. Couldn't get over that. That was just one little niggle. Number two is the first hectic 25 minutes. Now, as I said, we are introduced to all of these characters and there is no more films. We know this because by the end of the film, they all die. Spoiler territory, I said it's a spoiler-filled review. Every single person in this film dies. However, whether you class that as a spoiler, I would say is up for debate because the entire concept of the film was we know everyone dies because only one person manages to get the Death Star plans. That person is Jen Erso. So obviously we know all these characters are going to die. We are not introduced to these characters in a way that felt necessary. Every single character in this first 25 minutes is just rushed over and over again. Diego Luna, we see one little thing where he kind of does something slightly badass, but we're given no characterization to him. Jen Erso has an amazing backstory with Mads Mikkelsen as her father. Jesus Christ, Mads Mikkelsen was good in this film. Oh my god, I just absolutely love him. I love him in everything he does. And Jen Erso's story just all worked together really well, and I liked that, and I felt for her and I cared for her. Forrest Whitaker, on the other hand, was another character we were introduced to in the first 25 minutes, and he also dies in the first 25 minutes, and I felt like he was severely underutilised. Again, this brings into the third point. I know I'm going through the cast one by one, but the third point is unnecessary fan service. I will come back to this over and over again. Forrest Whitaker's character is actually from the Clone Wars, and they just kind of put him in as a bit more fan servicey thing. Wasn't particularly keen on that. Wasn't overly joyous on that, and I do think he was very underutilised, and I feel like had he had much more screen time and maybe he hadn't have died on that planet, because he died for basically no reason, that we would have experienced a lot more with him and had a better story with him. I was expecting him to survive a lot longer than he did, and if you think about it, his storyline is really thin and bare-boned. He is a huge character with a lot of things, and if you haven't seen the Clone Wars, you won't know who he is, and the fan service won't even reach you. It was a very strange decision to have him in it and have him just be there. Donnie Yen, walking quote machine, my god. Point number 4. Donnie Yen, walking quote machine. Every single line he said was like a quote from a Star Wars cliche book. What's the next thing we can say? May the Force be with you. What's the next thing you can say? I am one with the Force. What's the next thing you say? These aren't the droids you're looking for. My god, every single thing he says is an absolute cliche, and his character just became shallow, hollow, and just pretty much useless in the long run. Donnie Yen was just not a brilliant character. His action scenes were sick, and I loved all of that, and that side of him worked really well, and especially his death, which I thought was one of the most impactful deaths of the film. However, my god, was his script bad. Unnecessarily cheesy. And now we move on to 5, another character which I had a big issue was, and that was K2SO. Now he is point number 5. Now the reason for this is K2SO is actually my favourite character of this film. He was funny, he was a really good droid, and he felt actually useful to the plot. Not only that, he brought much needed comic relief to this film. However, my issue actually comes with his comic relief. Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed him and he's a fun character, but he's very self-aware. In fact, if anything, I felt like he was a bit too self-aware, and the comedy just didn't feel right in the Star Wars universe, and I feel like a lot of it was kind of focused on, well, you would probably make a meme out of that, and it was funny. When he grabs the grenade and he throws it behind him, it was funny. I can see it being a meme, I can just see what they were going for. But is that Star Wars humour? I get Star Wars is growing up, and I get its audience is changing, and it pandered to the right audience. The audience was dying with nearly every comedic line he said, which was nearly every other line. He had a good role, he felt useful, and he didn't just feel like he was there for comic relief, he felt like he had a purpose. However, the comic relief just felt a bit too self-aware, and if in my opinion, the comedy just didn't feel right. So while we're going through cast members, I've kind of gone through the majority of the main cast and my problems and likes about them. As I say, I go through all of them and how I didn't like them. I did like Forrest Whitaker's character. Jen Erso's character, I do go on about how good she was. Felicity Jones was just fantastic as her, and her backstory was great. Diego Luna, I liked his character for the most part. However, I do have an issue with him at the end. as one of my later issues. All these characters I do like, but these are my issues and what my little niggles added up to. So other characters. Oh, what about Grand Moff Tarkin? I really liked him. He was a brilliant... Oh, wait, his actor's dead. So what are we going to do? It's fine, we'll just recast him. Or we could CGI him in. Well, for one or two... No, we could CGI him in as a main cast member. That won't stand out at all. Oh wait, it stands out horrifically. My god, why did they do that? Why was he in it so much? Darth Vader could have done exactly what he did. All he did was kind of feed back a couple of things. I like it. He should have been in it. He should have been a little cameo. Maybe we wouldn't have even noticed if he'd only been on it for a minute or two. But as soon as I saw him, I went to my friend, I went, is he animated? That just doesn't seem... Oh, I don't... No. No. And every time he came on screen, he felt out of place and awkward, and it just didn't feel right. The same goes for the kind of awkward CGI of Princess Leia at the end. However, we only saw it for about 20 seconds, so it was not as bad. Grand Moff Tarkin, not good. Not good at all. Darth Vader was the weakest character in this film, completely. I genuinely really disliked his presence in this film. And it just felt, again, like more unnecessary fan service that they just put him in. Supposedly, he put him in reshoots as well, and I did like his presence a little bit near the end. His very main scene in the middle of the film felt really out of place. It was just very, very fan servicey, and if nothing else, it didn't feel right. He came onto screen, and his costume just didn't seem right. Everything about him seemed a bit off. His voice seemed different, even though it was done by the same voice actor. And his body shape just didn't feel right. Maybe that's because of my desensitization to the character, but I remember watching the original Star Wars films and being genuinely kind of creeped out and scared by Darth Vader. He doesn't have that power anymore. He felt useless, and he felt like just a man in a costume. I don't know whether that's the film's fault, but something just didn't feel right there. Something was definitely different about him, and obviously Dave Prowser's not doing that, but something just didn't feel right. It felt like someone had just cosplayed a Darth Vader and put it in there. Darth Vader was a huge negative for me, and not only that, they marketed it in the trailer, and they did the one thing I wanted them not to do. One thing I wanted them not to do was to put him in for a minute or one scene, and they did exactly that. And I was so disappointed with them for doing that, because it was just so unnecessary. They should have maybe just had him in at either the very end and just not put him in the trailers. But the fact they put it in the trailers and made it out like it was a big deal, I think is just really bad false marketing. He is in the film, but he's in it for about as long as he's in the trailer. The same goes with more unnecessary fan service. C-3PO and R2-D2 appear for no reason at all, and I just looked and I was like, no, it's just ridiculous. You're just putting fan service in for no reason, and I don't care for that. I want to see a film about these new characters that we've been introduced to. You take a risk by doing something that's not a franchise like that, and take full responsibility for that. Don't try and make everything being like, oh, but it's got the original Star Wars cast in it, you'll be alright. I just don't like fan service. Not to that extent. Point number 9. Diego Luna. We're going all the way back to more cast members, and Diego Luna, in all honesty, was a big problem in this film for me. Diego Luna dies at one point, and then thinks, wait, I'm going to come back for an extra 45 seconds. And he comes back, and he saves the day for no reason. Jen Erso was shown to be this really powerful, really badass woman, and in the end she gets saved by Diego Luna for no reason. I would have been much more interested in seeing Ben Mendelsohn and her fight off in that big final act. I feel like it would have been a lot more exciting and a lot more on edge. It wasn't necessary. I felt like it would have been much more impactful if he'd have just died in the kind of sudden way that it happened. But no, they lead to my last point as well. The cliche comeback was point 9. Point number 10. My god, was the ending cliche. That explosion, when Diego Luna's character and Felicity Jones hold hands, as the explosion comes and they look at each other dramatically, was so cliche, it hurt. I didn't like that, and I felt like it would have been much more impactful if, when they both are going down that lift and they fire the Death Star beam at them, they'd have just died. It should have been as sudden as that, because they'd done what they needed to do. They got the Death Star plans out there, they'd done their job, and they had that moment where they looked at each other and went, we're not going to make it, but we're alright. We've done what we needed to do. But now they thought, let's have a cheesy little end scene where we're over the sunset, an explosion comes, and they just know they're going to die. And it was just so unnecessary. I liked the fact that they all died. I liked the fact they stuck with that. I loved nearly every single person's death except them two. Riz Ahmed's death was especially good. Donnie Yen's death, Jesus Christ, that was good. I just really did not like that really cliche end note for Jen Erso's character. But as I said, that was my list of negatives. Positives are strong. I absolutely loved the battle scenes. The beach battle when they were about to get the Death Star plans, when the AT-ATs are coming, and Donnie Yen's just there, and he's like, run, and all the explosions are happening, and Riz Ahmed's there trying to run and get the ship right. My God, that battle scene was so good. I absolutely love that battle scene to pieces. The space battles were fantastic. The planets were beautiful. Everything about this film was just so beautiful. Explosions felt right. The only issue with the graphics and the CGI was with Grand Moff Tarkin, who I don't even think they could have done any better. It just felt really random and out of place. Everything felt like it had impact. Lightsabers, again, feel like they had impact. This was something The Force Awakens did fantastically. Darth Vader's lightsaber was brilliant. The fact that they didn't use lightsabers, the fact they didn't use the crawl to set it apart, the fact the music was remixed, but yet it used old and new, and it felt beautiful. Every sound and every amazing sound effect mixed with every amazing big track done by John Williams. I really, really liked the technical aspect of this film, and that's a big reason as to why I've given it 3.5 and not 3. This film had an amazing cast, an amazing story, but it was executed poorly. There was loads of little niggles that have just added up and added up and added up, and it's just kind of made it a 3.5 star film. I'm disappointed to give it that. But on the other hand, I feel it's very just. Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed Rogue One, and I am very excited for Star Wars Episode 8, but I feel like that is because I'm associated with those characters, and jumping straight into a new story with not that many new characters is not that big of a deal. I am a big, big fan of The Force Awakens, and it just did not live up to that. Rogue One, as I said at the beginning of this review, got 3.5 stars out of 5 from me. So if you enjoyed that spoiler in-depth, like, comment, subscribe, do whatever. I am happy no matter what. I would love to do more of these spoiler in-depth things on this channel, especially with brand new films that are big deals. And stick right here, because before Christmas, there's going to be a very special Christmas-themed video essay. Now, I know in one of my earlier videos I showed an intro to a men one. I'm going to push that back to January because I had already planned a Christmas one, but I thought I might be able to get the men one out before that. That's not going to be able to happen. What happened to Christmas classics is coming next. I'm going to be hard at work on this Christmas essay, and my next review will be of Passengers. Make sure you check out some of the old reviews on this channel. Make sure you're sticking right here on My Week in Media for more reviews, my Christmas video essay and my review of Passengers. All the latest new reviews are always right here on My Week in Media.